guys, I hope you're having a lovely day. Today is Saturday and I'm going to be talking about my top 6 sewing patterns for beginners. I know at the moment with the popularity of the Great British Sewing Bee on telly, lots of people are getting more into sewing, which is fab. So if you are a beginner, or perhaps you just fancy trying something which isn't too tricky, because sometimes I do, sometimes I go back to my beginner patterns if I just want to, you know, relax and enjoy sewing something that's not too taxing. I hope you enjoy the patterns which I have picked. Oh, before I start, let me show you what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a ready-to-wear striped top with a really cute little flared mini skirt. I'm not sure if you can see. Let me stand up. It just looks like this and it flares out at the bottom. I just think it's kind of cute. It's a McCalls pattern, can't remember the number, but I'll put it in the box down below. And my necklace is from Tatty Divine, because I love Tatty Divine, as you may have noticed. Got it in a sample sale, so it was a right bargain. The first pattern, my first beginner pattern, is a really basic one, and it is pajamas. Now, I have never made myself pajamas. I have made pajamas for loads of people, but never for me. Here's one pair I made, looking wrinkly because they are pajamas with an elasticated waist. Now, these are trousers, which some people might think is more difficult, but I personally think that pajamas are one of the best places to start sewing. The fit does not really matter, as long as they don't fall down and as long as they're not too tight, you're fine. You know, no one's going to see these out in public. It's not about being flattering, it's just about being comfortable. There's a lovely pattern in Tilly's book, Love at First Stitch, for pajamas, and they are called the Margot pajamas, which are gorgeous, and that's a ladies pattern. These ones which I've made here are actually from they're a men's pair, obviously, and I've made them with a Simplicity pattern, which is this one here, and it is Simplicity 9330. And it's very basic. It says 2 hours. Frankly, you probably could make a pair of pajamas in about 2 hours. It's just a front and a back. It's so easy. And you cut 2 of each, and the instructions are pretty good in here actually. These are for men, but I don't see what, oh no, it says here Mrs. Men's and Teen Sleepwear. So it comes in sizes extra small to extra large. So you could pretty much make this for maybe like your teenage son or daughter, all the way up to your granddad. It should fit everybody. And I think that pajamas make an excellent gift as well, for if you're a more experienced sewer. That's something which I do. Coincidentally, this book, actually I'll mention it again, Tilly and the Buttons, Love at First Stitch, if you are a beginner dressmaker, is absolutely awesome, because it has, just like all her commercial patterns, it has all the instructions photographed step by step. All of the terminology is defined. It's just a really handy book if you're a beginner, and the Margot pajama patterns come with it. All the patterns are printed at the back, so that's quite handy. So that's pattern number 1. Top beginner pattern is pajamas. Another nice thing about making pajamas, apart from the fact that you can make them in about 2 hours, they're quick and easy, and the fit isn't overly important, is you can use all of those crazy fun cottons which you see in the fabric shops and think, wow, I'd never wear that. These are covered in these crazy tattoo prints, because these I made for my boyfriend and he loves the tattoo, he does, so you know, it's just a bit of fun. I also made him some covered in American flags because he loves going to America. You know, you can just make them really silly and fun. Right, my next, so I'm going to do these sort of sequentially in order of how difficult these projects are. So pajamas are number 1, and my number 2 pattern is something which I mentioned in my secret pajama video, and that is the kimono. So this is, I'll pop it on so you can see, this is my jazzy shiny version. Now this is more challenging only because this fabric is shiny. You do not have to make it a shiny fabric. You can make it in whatever kind of fabric you like. There's a nice little beach cover up, something just to chill out around the house in. Kimonos are so simple to sew. Too many sews. I use New Look 6378. Which is quite sweet, has different variations. You don't have to set in a sleeve. You literally cut 2 fronts and a back and stitch them together, and then hem the front, which is a bit tricky around the curve, but you could always square that off if you didn't fancy tacking a curve. That would still look great. And hem the sleeves. So it's again, you could knock one up in a couple of hours if you're an experienced sewer, and they are a really great pattern. if you are a beginner, because you get to wear something which looks really beautiful, particularly if you choose a really gorgeous print. Like a cotton lawn would be a really good place to start. It's not as slippery as it's like a silk or a fake silk like that one, the poly silk. It would stay put because it's cotton but it's still thin, so I would, yeah, a lovely cotton lawn would make a gorgeous one. And equally you could make it in a knit, which again is something I showed in my previous video, but I'll show you again. This is really easy to work with because it's quite a stable knit, so if you choose a stable knit that doesn't just move around too much, this could be a really great little beginner project as well. So you have your slouchy cardi, which is quite cute with the kimono sleeve. So that is beginner pattern number 2. Number 3, I'm struggling to place these in order. I've got these garments out in front of me. I should probably have thought about this earlier. I would say it's little shell top. Now this is super simple to sew. I actually made this from a dress pattern, so I'm kind of going to put these two together, which is shift tops and shift dresses. Now I've got a couple of patterns here to show you. This is the one I made the top from, which is, this was my, as a beginner, absolute favourite pattern. I think I made about like 7 of these. It's just ridiculous. Different variations, you know, putting elastic around the waist if I was feeling a bit adventurous. But this is New Look, very well loved, 6068. I've got rid of pretty much all of the versions I made because they're not really to my style anymore. But you can see it's just such a simple, basic design. Have a couple of sleeve options, which is quite nice. But this, I just shortened the pattern into a top, and I made it out of this nice lace which I lined. But super simple. You could just bind the armholes, you could just make this in a plain crisp cotton. You can even, this one has the little opening at the front, I left that out, so it's literally a front, a back and 2 darts. But a good place to start learning darts. There's no zips, no buttons, no fastenings, and if you want to see that pattern as a dress, here is a dress version I've made of it. I made this in quite a maybe trickier fabric, but you could, I have made this in just plain cotton, and it's simple, easy to sew. This is a nice just polyester, and it's quite slippery, but it's very pretty. So it's got just a bound neckline, little gathered sleeve, put a little tag in there, kind of cute. This is of course more of an autumnal dress because it's got these tiny little leaves on. This is fabric I got from Fabricland. I made this about 2 or 3 years ago, but I always get it out every winter. It's lovely layered over polo necks and things. It looks really cute. This one, to be fair, I made this. Look, it's even got my name in the net, which is quite funny. It's one of those school tags that was left over. I don't actually wear this top that often, and I'm looking at that thinking I kind of like it, but I made this about 4 years ago probably. So yeah, I've had it for quite a while, but I can't get rid of it because it's really lovely. So that's a lovely shift dress pattern. Another nice shift top or simple block top, which is you can see it would give you the same look as this if you just shortened this, is New Look 6483. I made one of these when I was a beginner as well, and it was great. I think I've given it away now because it wasn't, again, to my style anymore, and that was about 5 years ago I think I bought this. But it's a really lovely simple one which is very similar. So we have had the pajamas, the kimono and the shift dress and shift top. That's my first 3. So the next in order of trickiness is the jersey jumper dress. So I've got a couple of options here. This is one which I made a couple of years ago. I think I showed this again in quite a few of my videos. I think I've worn it in my videos. I just love it. It's very, very simple. Beginners can be nervous of jerseys, which is completely understandable. Slippery jerseys are a bloody nightmare, but stable knits like Pontoroma really don't stretch that much, but they stretch enough that you don't have to put in a zip. So that's great. None of these projects so far have had zips or buttons, which is why I think I'm classing them as the easiest ones. I made this one with New Look 6095, which is not actually especially for knits. I just chose to use it for a knit fabric. However, another pattern which I've acquired more recently is Simplicity 1593, and I've made one of these up. It's in the wash at the moment because I get quite a lot of wear out of it, but View D is great. Again, it's back, front and sleeves, and then you bind the neckline. So super duper simple, and really, really cosy and comfortable to wear as well. So that is number 5, is the stable jersey jumper t-shirt type of dress. Number 4, sorry. Now at number 5 is the mini skirt. I love mini skirts, and my favourite mini skirt pattern, I think, though there are a few contenders, is Simplicity 1370, and the mini skirt which I make is view D. I've got 2 versions of it here. One is the mini version, it's really short, the houndstooth. This is, again, it's the next step up from the first 4 projects which I've shown you, because it has a zip. And I choose to use invisible zips, but you don't have to. You could use any kind of, you could use a normal zip if you find that a lot easier. And there are so many brilliant videos on YouTube for how to insert different types of zips. So don't worry about it. You'll be fab. This is made just with a nice houndstooth denim, and it's a back and a front which both have darts, and then you have to insert a waistband. So it is only 4 pattern pieces with a zip. So the zip is kind of the challenge in this project, if you like. And I've also made a lined version. This is the version in yellow, which I made, which I rather like. It's kind of, it doesn't look that great on the camera, but it is a really rich yellow. I think I wore this in a video not that long ago. This one I lengthened a little bit. It needs a bit of pressing out, actually, this one. I also lined this version, so it's doesn't cling to your tights if you wear it. Right, okay, we are nearly finished. The last of my beginner patterns is the really simple gathered skirt. I've got 3 versions here to show you because I love a gathered skirt. It's essentially a skirt front and a skirt back, and you gather it up and then sew it onto a waistband. Now you can buy a pattern for this. For example, this is Simplicity Cynthia Rowley 2215. You can see it down here, but there are loads of versions you can get of a basic gathered skirt. You don't need to buy that one. This one's actually got pleats, but I would say to beginners, if you see pleats on a pattern, you do not have to put them in. You can just gather it. It's completely your choice. And again, in the Love at First Stitch book, there is a lovely gathered skirt called, I think it's Clements? Yes. Here it is. And it looks gorgeous, styled really nicely there. And so she, in here, it's not actually got a pattern for it because it just tells you how to cut out the shapes and the proportions you need. So that's really nice. I have made one for, well, they're all really, well, some are for summer, some are for spring. This is a lovely one which I made just out of crisp cotton, invisible zip down the back, which I encased in the waistband, looking quite smart, and I put these fake buttons down the front. Another one which is very similar is this one. This one's nicer because it's denim. I feel, oh, little thread. Because this one's denim, I feel like I can wear this in more seasons. So you could wear it in the autumn and the winter as well. I did have pockets in it and I took them out because I felt like it made it a bit bulky having the 4 layers of denim there. You know, it's a bit much. And lastly is this version which I made a couple of summers ago. I think the zip goes down the side on this one, yeah. And look at this fabric. Ah, it's amazing. It's got these gorgeous flowers. This is John Lewis. John Lewis is where I found this fabric. This one I chose to put pleats into instead of gathers, which were marked onto the pattern. They're really not that difficult to do. You know, if you're patient and you take your time and pin everything in, pleats are not that tricky for a beginner. And the nice thing about this one, and just to share with you, is it's actually a midi length. It's quite long. So if you are making a pleated or a gathered skirt, which is super simple, you can get so many different looks because you can do like a casual short denim one, you can do a more fabulous brightly printed midi one, and you can get so many different looks just from that one basic pattern. So that is my top 6 beginner sewing patterns. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you found something that was useful. If you're a beginner, please stick with it. I cannot express in words the joy I get from sewing because it makes me so happy every single day. And not that I sew every day, but you know, thinking about it every day at the very least, or cutting something, or planning something, researching something. It's a really satisfying way to express yourself creatively, and it's not easy to begin with, but nothing is, and it is absolutely 100% worth persevering with, I can guarantee. So if you are a beginner, please bear that in mind, and do leave a comment below if there are any questions you have additionally about the patterns which I have shared with you today. So that's everything. I hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend. I'll see you again soon. Bye!